Did you forget about me? Maybe you've never said it out loud, but you've thought it. In the silence of a heavy night, or while staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep. In those moments where everything feels far away, and you feel even farther. There's a scene that plays out in many lives. Someone gets home tired, drops their keys on the table, kicks off their shoes, and sits at the edge of their bed. Everything is quiet. The phone doesn't ring. No one asks how their day went. And in that stillness, one question breaks through the silence. God, are you still there? Because we believe. We pray. We try. But sometimes, heaven just doesn't answer. It's not anger. It's something deeper. That quiet sadness that whispers, maybe God just isn't there anymore. Maybe he forgot us. Maybe he has more important people, more urgent prayers. Maybe we're no longer on his list. Maybe you've been there too. Maybe you're there now. And then, the questions creep in, ones that hurt more than silence. Did I stop waiting too soon? Am I no longer worthy of his love? What if he never answers? What if he really forgot me? As harsh as those questions sound, they're not rare. They're deeply human. And that's why I want to talk to you today. Not with explanations or theology. Just from a real place. Because I've been there too. And I believe with all my heart that this question, did you forget about me? Does have an answer. Not loud, not religious, but a whisper full of love. But first, let me tell you a story. It's nighttime. The city has gone quiet, but a soft light glows in a small room. Someone's sitting at the edge of their bed, back slightly hunched, eyes staring at the floor. No music, no noise, just silence and a breath. One of those long breaths that feel heavier than words. A breath that doesn't come from exhaustion, but from emptiness. They're not crying. They don't have the strength to. Not tonight. They've prayed, more times than they can count. They've whispered, pleaded, even yelled into their pillow at 3 a.m. They've tried to believe, tried to hold on. But nothing. No voice from heaven. No comfort. Just silence. A silence that's not just quiet, it's loud in its own way. And that's the thing people don't talk about. That sometimes the silence is worse than pain. Because at least pain lets you feel alive. But silence, it makes you wonder if anyone is even listening. It's not that they've stopped believing. No, faith is still there, somewhere underneath all the disappointment. They still want to believe that God hears, that he cares. But each unanswered prayer chips away at that hope. Little by little, quietly, they sit in that room thinking, why is it so hard to feel him now? Did I do something wrong? Why does he feel so distant, so absent, now that I need him most? And life keeps going. People around them laugh, make plans, go on with their days. No one notices the storm inside. Because outside, everything seems fine. You go to work. You go to church. You smile when you're supposed to. But on the inside, something is cracking. You feel like a ghost walking through life. Present, but not really there. Seen, but not really known. Maybe that's you. Maybe you've prayed for something so many times that you've stopped counting. And deep down, you wonder if God just forgot. There's a kind of loneliness that doesn't come from being alone. It comes from being unseen. Even by God. You want to believe he's still there. You want to believe your prayers are not in vain. But the silence is deafening. And in that silence, this question rises like a lump in your throat. God, are you even listening? It's not rebellion. It's not bitterness. It's heartbreak. That slow kind of heartbreak that doesn't scream, it just aches. But here's the strange thing. That ache, is sacred because it means you still care. It means somewhere deep inside, your soul still believes in being heard. It hasn't given up completely. And that tiny thread of belief, frayed, exhausted, barely holding on, that's where something holy begins. It doesn't look like faith. It doesn't feel strong. But it's real. And it's often in that kind of raw, unfiltered silence that God begins to speak. Not with thunder, not with fireworks, but in whispers, in memories, in scriptures that show up when you least expect them, in breath itself. He doesn't always show up when we shout. Sometimes, he arrives in the quiet. And when he does, something begins to shift, not outside, but deep within. There are days when you expect nothing. You don't even pray with passion. You just exist, breathing, surviving. Not because you stopped believing, but because you don't know how to keep believing. It was on one of those days that something happened. I was skimming through my Bible, not really reading, just flipping through, not sure what I was looking for. And then, one verse stopped me cold. Like the entire page paused to whisper something deep. Can a mother forget her nursing child and have no compassion for the child of her womb? Though she may forget, I will not forget you. Isaiah 49:15. I froze, not because it was poetic, not because it was religious, but because it was exactly what I needed to hear. A mother, forget her baby. It feels impossible. And still, God says, even if she did, I won't forget you. It wasn't a sermon. It wasn't a lesson. It was love. And not the kind you understand, but the kind your soul just recognizes. I will not forget you. That line didn't fix everything right away. But it lit something. A spark. A quiet reminder that didn't come from logic, but from deep inside. And it made me wonder, how many times had God been holding me, and I just didn't notice? How many times had he answered in ways I didn't expect? One time I was at my lowest, and someone messaged me, "You crossed my mind today. Are you okay?" I cried, because it was exactly what I needed. That person didn't know, but God did. Another time, I felt numb. And out of nowhere, a song came on the radio. The lyrics felt written for me. And I thought, could this be God talking? Maybe he never left. Maybe he's been whispering all along, through songs, sunsets, friends, and quiet mercies. God didn't shout from heaven. He whispered from within. And that whisper, it gave me hope. Sometimes we think if God truly loved us, he'd prove it with something big. A miracle, a clear voice, a perfect solution. But what if his love hides in the smallest things? I looked back, not for miracles, just moments. And what I found broke me and healed me at the same time. God had always been there. I just hadn't seen it. That time someone paid for my coffee when I felt invisible? That unexpected hug when I was falling apart? Those weren't accidents. They were God's fingerprints. His love is in the breath you're still taking. The fact you woke up today. The fact you're still here, listening. That's grace. That's him. How many times were you sure you wouldn't make it? But you did. God doesn't always remove the storm, but he gives you strength to keep walking through it. I remember walking aimlessly one day, feeling empty. I passed a child laughing as he chased a bird. I don't know why, but I started crying. That laughter reminded me, there's still beauty in the world. Still light. Still God. His voice isn't always loud. Sometimes, it's a red light that saves you from an accident. A random call that turns into encouragement. A line in a book that feels like it was meant just for you. Open your soul eyes. Look again. You'll find the fingerprints. Even now, even in your lowest, He's there. He never forgot. I don't know exactly where you are in life right now. Maybe you're tired. Not just physically, but soul tired. That deep kind of exhaustion that no amount of sleep can fix. Maybe you're going through the motions. Smiling when you need to. Saying, "I'm fine," when you're anything but. Maybe you're still trying to hold on to your faith, but it feels like it's slipping through your fingers. Maybe you still talk to God, but it's more like a whisper than a conversation. A quiet, trembling voice inside asking, "God, did you forget about me?" If that's you, let me speak to the part of you that's hurting. No, God didn't forget about you. He hasn't lost sight of you. He hasn't grown tired of your prayers, even the ones soaked in silence. He doesn't love you less because you're doubting or struggling. In fact, He draws closer when you're weak. The truth is, God's love doesn't disappear when your strength does. His presence doesn't depend on your performance. His faithfulness isn't fragile like ours. It's steady, unshaken, still here. He sees every tear you don't cry. He hears the prayers you can't even form into words anymore. And He's not disappointed in your weakness. He's not walking away from you. He's leaning in. Maybe this video, these words, are more than just a nice message. Maybe they're a whisper from heaven itself, saying, "You're not forgotten. You're not invisible. I'm still with you." And maybe all He's asking today is this: don't give up. Not yet. Even if it's hard. Even if your faith feels like it's hanging by a thread. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't need to be strong all the time. You just need to take one step, one breath, one honest prayer. Even if it sounds like, "God, I don't know what to say anymore, but I still want you." That's enough. Because He's not looking for perfect words. He's looking for open hearts. And I promise you, He meets us in that place. In the raw, honest, broken spaces. He doesn't wait for the storm to pass to love you. He loves you in the middle of it. So trust again. Not because everything's fixed, but because He's still faithful. And maybe that trust won't feel big. Maybe it's not loud or powerful. Maybe it's just a whisper, "Okay, God, I'm still here. I'll try again." And that's where healing begins. Because God hasn't left you. He hasn't forgotten your name. He hasn't walked away from your story. He's still writing it. And when all this is over, when the storm quiets and the dust settles, you'll look back and see, He was there the whole time. If this message touched your heart, please share it. Someone else might be wondering the same thing you were. And if you want more content like this, gentle, honest, and full of hope, subscribe to Almost Biblical. This journey isn't meant to be walked alone. Let's walk it together.